Recording in progress.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Rncc meeting. My name is Art Rncc. I'll be the chair for the meeting tonight. It's Monday, November 18th, 7:03. Before we get started, I'd like to say that this meeting is being video recorded. Remember to be respectful of our speakers and ask questions that are on topic. So let's start with introductions. Jan?
Hi, I'm Jan Mignoni. I'm the president of the North and East Neighborhood Council. Our last meeting was in October because it would be the day before Thanksgiving and between Christmas and New Year, so we don't have meetings in November or December. We did work on our neighbor-to-neighbor grant, and we have things figured out kind of what we want to do, but we want to do like an art gallery because the North and East has tons of people that are artists. So we're trying to work that whole thing out, but we haven't passed that. That's what I'll spend the whole time off doing. And I'm the treasurer at the Rncc.
Let me start over here with Garland.
Hello, my name is Garland Ellis. I'm president of the Richmond Annex Neighborhood Council, also the public information officer for the RNCC. We had a meeting in October. We had members of the planning department and the police department come and pay us a visit. We got a lot of information. It'll be difficult having a meeting though in November and December because usually our meetings occur at the time that the holidays also occur, so we usually kind of put things off till the beginning of next year.
Rock Brown, Sergeant at Arms of the RNCC, and Treasurer of the East Richmond Neighborhood Council. Last week I failed to mention about the last month's candidate, or we had candidates night, I guess. And I want to thank Jim for reminding me of that, because the worst part of that was I was at that meeting, but it happens. I had a brain fart, and if you're out there, if you report on the, I know that they've been speaking a lot on the Dollar Tree that's on the corner of Barrett and San Pablo. I'd be grateful. I know that folks have been working really hard at that. I'd just like to report on that. And the neighbors in the neighborhood, they had a real collective effort. And I have to tell you, when I drove by, even today, some of the old pictures that are on the windows, and it's really coming along nice for a kind of a normal box store. It really is. I'm really impressed by the hard work of not only the people that are building it, but also the neighborhoods being involved. Thank you.
Rita?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Garetha Johnson. I'm the president of Parkchester Neighborhood Council and a director at large for the RNCC. And we had our meeting last week. It was well attended, and we had our elections, and to my chagrin, I'm the president again. Okay, and so we're planning, we did get a committee together to plan a Christmas event at our community center, and so that's in the workings, but that's the end of the report. Okay.
Good evening. My name is Josephine Velasquez. I am president of the May Valley Neighborhood Council and corresponding secretary to the RNCC. We had our hybrid meeting this last weekend, and we were, among other things, trying to plan our events for Neighbor to Neighbor. And I want to take this opportunity to thank the board and Carlos, because we didn't have crosswalks and signage on May and May and Santa Rita, and Carlos and his crew did an amazing job. You can see the crosswalk, half a block before. So thank you guys so much. I wasn't here, and thank you so much for moving that project along.
Good evening. I'm Lori Hart. I'm Director at Large for the RNCC. And as Garetha mentioned, we just had our elections, and I am now the official Vice President of the Parkchester Village Neighborhood Council. Not Vice President / Secretary / So we are growing. We got our positions filled, and I'm happy about that, and we are planning our, Chris, we have a meeting this week to plan the Christmas party, and, yeah, we just need to stop leaking in Parchester since 1949 circa, so we'll see what the city council is going to do with us leaking in Parchester. So I want to encourage all of you to, when possible, to attend these meetings and encourage the city to fix what is broke before they start building new things. Thank you.
So before we go online, I'd like to ask those of you that aren't presenting, if you can come up and introduce yourselves from your neighborhood councils.
So I'm Cordell Handler with Park Plaza Neighborhood Council, and good news, we've had our meeting last Wednesday after a number of times though that we've not met. So we had about 15 people in attendance, so that was pretty successful. And the updates at our meeting, we had Lena Velasco, who provided an update on the Mirror Floors project, and what else? Councilmember Doria Robertson attended, and among other things. So we finally met after all these times. So I'm like, I'm just happy about that. So that's it. So anybody want to take a crack at it?
Hi, it's Bryce Aleman representing Richmore Village and Metro Square. We did not have a meeting recently, and nothing to report. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Margarita Mitas with Marina Bay Neighborhood Council. I'm the president, and we did have our district election candidates night, and we are working on hopefully putting together some neighbor-to-neighbor event. It's been a bit of a struggle, but that's what we're working on, trying to close out the year end. And yeah, and then we will also re-up our officers for 2025. So that's it.
Hey, everybody. My name is Philip Rosenthal. I'm the president of the Point Richmond Neighborhood Council. And first of all, I'd like to thank all of you who are serving on your neighborhood councils and also the RNCC, because I can't imagine how you do it. We had our last meeting. We call it Open Mic Night, where the neighbors can bring all their concerns. Cesar Zepeda is the sort of, our council member is our sort of unofficial guest. And he focused on sideshows, which are pretty much almost 24/7 in our community now, because we have Canal Boulevard, and they love Point Richmond because it's right by the freeway. So there are some mitigation happening there. We, as a board, put together our neighbor-to-neighbor proposal. I'm going to try to make an appointment with Stephanie. We actually have 2 street parties annually, which will be absorbed into the neighbor-to-neighbor grant, but almost all of our other proposals involve using other community nonprofits to help us to produce events so that we can get new volunteers for those as well. So things like our gardening group doing gardening seminars, our arts group doing art seminars, a dance studio doing dance classes, to take the burden off of us, but also to try to move this money through the nonprofits or through local businesses that are influential in our community. So we're going to present some ideas to Stephanie and her team, and she's going to tell us which ones she hopefully will guide us on which ones she thinks are going to work best. We combine our November and December meetings because we meet on the 3rd Wednesday of every month, so Thanksgiving and Christmas are out. So we will meet the 4th, and our meeting is scheduled to be with a local benevolent society about the renovation of some of our parks using charitable funds and cooperating with the city parks department. So things are a little rough with our homeless population and our sideshows, but the neighborhood council, we feel like we've got our ducks in the row right now. And again, we're super grateful for those of you who take on dual roles, because it's got to be daunting. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to online speakers.
Good evening, Vicki. Would you like to introduce yourself?
This is Vicki Winston with Greenbrier Neighborhood Council. I'm the vice president. Checking in, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Oh, great. Yes, we are planning in the process of planning our annual business meeting, which will be held in January, at which point we will finalize the projects that we want to move forward on the Neighbor to Neighbor grant. And that's it for us.
Thank you. Gabino, would you like to introduce yourself? Gabino?
Hello, this is Gavino Redondo with the City of Richmond, staff member.
Thank you. John Bauman, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, this is John Bauman, Vice President of the Castro Heights Neighborhood Association. And our next meeting will be January 21st. The biggest issue we're dealing with right now is the replacement of a sound wall along Castro Ranch Road. Hoping that gets approval soon, and looks like we'll be starting that project in the spring. Thanks.
Thank you. Marina, would you like to introduce yourself?
Everyone, this is Marina Brown from Shields Reed Neighborhood Council, President, as well as a Director of the RNCC, a member. We're just getting ready for our holiday food bag giveaway. We have no meeting for the month of November. And we're doing a stocking spread the joy with the kids at Verde School and the kids in the North Richmond community. That's all.
Thank you. Suzanne, would you like to introduce yourself? Suzanne? Hello? Tony, would you like to introduce yourself? Tony? Please unmute yourself.
Hello, could you all hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Tony Tamayo, Chief of Staff to Richmond Mayor Eduardo Martinez. Glad to be here.
I didn't hear what he said.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Hi, can I speak? This is Suzanne with Santa Fe Neighborhood Council, and we will not be having a meeting in November. However, I would like to announce that we are reviving our traditional Hug-a-Bear dinner this year. It's the first year since COVID, and so that dinner will be happening on December 12th at the Galileo Club. It's $50 per person, and there'll be information in social media. You can contact me or Linda Whitmore for more information. And if you're unaware that we have a dinner, we collect stuffed bears from the guests, and then those bears we give to public safety, fire, and police. Then they use those to give to kids in crisis. And we're really excited to bring it back because it's a long-standing Santa Fe tradition.
Thank you. Thank you. Avery Stark, would you like to introduce yourself? Avery, please unmute yourself. Carlos, would you like to introduce yourself?
Good evening, everyone. Carlos Castro, Supervisor for the City of Richmond Streets Maintenance Division.
Lieutenant Decius, would you like to introduce yourself?
Good evening, everyone. Lieutenant Donovan Decius from the Police Department. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you for the introductions. My name, as I said, my name is Ardo Rentila. I'll be chairing the meeting. I'm also the president of the Fairmead Hilltop Neighborhood Council. We went ahead and forwent our neighborhood council meeting. We canceled it because of a conflict of interest. And so, but we are still collecting clothes, warm clothes, clean clothes, hardly used clothes, and jackets and shoes and just about anything that you can help out with. It could be dropped off at the Hilltop Community Church office at 3118 Shane Drive. I also know that Shields Reed is collecting clothes, so reach out to Marina Brown if you have an opportunity to. And also wanted to mention that I am a board member on West County Wastewater District, and we're looking at building a huge levee in North Richmond. And so we're asking the ladies from Parchester and North Richmond to participate in the emails or the meetings that we're having. We're going to try and raise $1 billion. So should be interesting. With that, I think we can move on to our Public Information Officer, Garland Nellis, if he has some announcements to make.
Well, we have a few this evening. There's 2 events that are coming up at the library that are a little bit different. December the 4th from 6:30 to 8 p.m., Point Richmond History Series. This will be at the West Side Library. Also December 7th from 5 to 7 p.m., History, Richmond's Lao Refugees. And this will be at the community room at the main library, Madeline Winsley. There's also ongoing programs that occur at the library for children with homework problems. There's technical instruction for using the internet and lighter electronic devices. There's children's and adult programs. And they've expanded the lawyer at the library to now have tenants and eviction rights. These move around to different libraries, so you should check their scheduling, as there's several libraries in the city of Richmond, and they try to have it in different places to help everybody out. They also have them at different times. So check the schedule of the library, and you'll find a whole lot of different programs for kids and adults. Thank you.
Thank you. This month is our last month for in-person meeting. So we decided to forego a presentation from anyone. So with that, we'll just move on to reports from city staff. First up is the mayor's office, Tony Tamayo.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. As Arto just mentioned, my name is Tony Tamayo, Chief of Staff to Richmond Mayor Eduardo Martinez. And today I'm back to highlight our boards and commissions, in particular, the Planning Commission, which currently has 2 vacancies. The Parks and Recs currently has 5. So if you know anyone who's interested in those 2 boards in particular, please let them know that they can either reach out to me directly so I can guide them where to go, or they can go to the city website and look at the full list of boards and commissions. If they're interested in others like the arts, they can feel free to apply for that as well. Some exciting news from the mayor's office is we just hired another person. Her name is Anna Tellez. She'll be serving as our Deputy Chief of Communications, helping restart our newsletter and revamp our communications outwardly to the community. Also, stay tuned for a press release on loans for small businesses from the ARPA funds. That press release will be coming soon, and we'll be sending it out from our list. So if you haven't joined it yet, feel free to go to mayoreduardo.com and sign up for our email list. That's all I have for now, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Philip, you have a question?
Yeah, sure do.
Hey, Tony, it's Philip Rosenthal. I want to bring something to the attention of all of the neighborhood councils, because if it can happen in a highly visitable situation that we're facing in our neighborhoods, it can certainly happen in yours. We have a business that has been breaking code for about 3 years. There are fire safety issues. Their actions are against state law. They have been in communication with the city attorney for 3 years over the issue. And the issue of this safety issue came up in 2 hours of meetings in the city council, during which time the business owner, who had been giving over 2 weeks' notice of the city council meeting, in which he was able to advertise on social media for support, close his business, provide free food and beverage to a caravan of people who came to the city to fight for something that's illegal. During that meeting, there was absolutely zero mention of the 6 hours of neighborhood council meetings that we had held over 3 separate occasions. This involves parklets and parking and community safety and red fire zones. What was super appalling, even though we had the support of our council member who had all the details, was that the city attorney said, I'm paraphrasing, a pretty direct quote, nobody from Point Richmond could even come to bother to speak out against this illegal situation. And I need to set the record straight here because I don't have a chance always to get to the city council members. 60 people attended a meeting in Point Richmond. We did things exactly the way we were told to do it. We made a formal letter, we took votes, and we were promised by the city staff that if the issue came up and the restaurant asked for a permit for anything, that it would come before the neighborhood council. We sent several communications to the mayor's office and to the city manager, outlining our willingness to hear anything that came in front of us, and we sent videotapes of the meeting where the business owner admitted that his setup was not proper. So there is no secret as to what's been happening. What's a concern is that the council members from other districts disrespected the people in Point Richmond who know the history of this situation, know the history of the applicant, know what used to happen and what did happen and what's changed. I was appalled when I wrote to the city and said, why didn't you send us notice? Because we didn't know, the community didn't know we were supposed to come out and speak. Because A, we could never have imagined that the city attorney, the mayor, and the city council would even consider something that is illegal under state law, period. We as a city, as a neighborhood council, can't hear a proposal that is illegal under state law, that the city attorney has said is illegal, and that the city staff involved has said is illegal. So why would we think we needed to come out to defend or to talk about something being illegal in our community? But what was most appalling that nobody seemed to catch is that city code requires that within 150 feet of this application, businesses and homeowners be sent a notice by the city so that we can speak up. And certainly in our case, obviously city neighborhood councils are optional, but in our case, we were sending out regular communications saying we're ready to hear this. The city attorney sent me back a notice saying, oh, yes, y'all listen carefully, please, because this is going to happen in your neighborhoods. And Tony, I hope you'll bring this to Eduardo, because I think he would be outraged if it happened in his own district in his own neighborhood. The city attorney said, we made a public notice. They didn't do it by sending out the notices that they're required by city code. They didn't do it by sending an email to me that I could forward to the community. They didn't post it. They put it in the very back of the West Contra Costa Times, amidst about 100 other public notices about someone's getting a divorce, someone's liquidating their business, someone's buying a corporation from someone else, someone's changing their name. So I really would like the mayor to explain why city staff deliberately buried this in a document, in a newspaper that you have to pay to subscribe to. Is it really the city's expectation that my neighbors are going to get a subscription to a newspaper and turn to page 39 and dig this out when there is videotape of every single aspect of this that's been placed in front of the city council and the pertinent city staff, including the city attorney? And for super fun, any of you who would like to see the emails, the confidential emails between our city attorney and the attorney for this business that inexplicably were sent to my personal email address, which included several legal issues because it was a long email thread. I just think it's really super appalling. And it would have been super easy for city staff to simply send an email to the neighborhood council so that we could have a proper hearing, but we didn't need to because we already had sent these letters and we already had knowledge and we had already expressed ourselves in the community. So I just want to let you know that this happened. And Tony, I really would like to hear whether or not that would be acceptable in Eduardo's district if there was a controversial safety hazard in a residential commercial area, whether or not that would be acceptable notification. Thank you all. I'm sorry for the length, but it's going to happen to you. They're burying this stuff.
That's fine. Thank you. Tony, did you get that?
I did. Thank you, Philip, for bringing this up. And we are a part of those threads. You are reaching out to the right people. If you don't hear back in a adequate amount of time, please feel free to follow up with us so we can follow up with staff.
Thank you. Cordell, you have a question?
And Tony, this is a simple question. So is the Mayor Martinez thinking about doing some like business roundtables like that our previous mayor had done in the past? Simple question.
We are in conversations with someone in the business community on how we can restart either a business roundtable or a developers roundtable. More info to come next year.
Thank you. Are there any questions online? Any hands up? No? Thank you, Tony. Greatly appreciated. Next, we have economic. I just asked.
Okay, whiz fast. Sorry.
Let's go.
That's all. No, nothing against you. My question is to Tony. He said there's going to be roundtables in the future. My simple question is that the roundtables they're going to have in the communication, is that going to be transparent process on how they're going to go about that? Is it going to be transparent, or is there any type of timeline or anything? Thank you.
We're just starting those conversations now. We have a few meetings lined up with the folks from the chamber. When the time comes, though, in my mind, it's an open invitation to businesses to join.
Thank you. Are there any more questions? No, no worries. Okay, thank you, Tony. Appreciate it. Moving on to economic development. Samantha?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Samantha Carr, Environmental Manager in the Environment and Health Initiatives Division. And as many are aware, the Environment and Health Initiatives Division is under Economic Development, along with Arts and Culture, Business Development, Housing Authority, Real Estate, and the Port of Richmond. And over the past year, we've been rotating out which division is giving updates. So tonight it's my turn. And so I'll be starting with arts and culture. Mark your calendars for Sunday, December 8th for the Richmond Arts Center's 62nd Annual Holiday Arts Festival from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Up next, business development. This Thursday is there will be a job fair hosted at the Richmond Auditorium from noon to 4 p.m. Also wanted to share, and I've printed out some flyers in both English and Spanish. I'll be putting them outside the table at the door. The City of Richmond is providing grants through the American Rescue Plan Act ARPA Relief Grant Program to support local businesses established on or before March 13, 2020 that were impacted by the pandemic. Grant amounts range from $5,000 up to $10,000. Check your eligibility by scanning the QR code for the intake form or by visiting the city's website. For assistance, please email eastbay@rencenter.org or feel free to call 510-620-6512. Also, the City of Richmond has teamed up with the Richmond Farmers Market Association to launch the mobile vendor program designed to empower sidewalk vendors and aspiring entrepreneurs. This program not only helps participants operate their business in compliance with local regulations, but also serves as a business incubator offering hands-on entrepreneurship training. Noting that the MVP program is located at 1401 McDonald Avenue, the downtown city public lot, from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. on Thursdays and Saturdays. And then the Richmond Farmers Markets are Sunday at the Marina parking lot and Friday at the street in front of the Richmond Main Library. Moving on to environment and health, just a friendly reminder about California Senate Bill 1383, which requires everyone to recycle. Not only recycle, but recycle their organics. Friendly reminder that any Richmond residents who are interested can pick up a free green waste pail for their kitchen counter at the city manager's office Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. I also brought some brochures that has really wonderful graphics about what goes where. So fun fact, if paper touches food, it goes in the compost. So pizza boxes, compost. Napkins, compost. That's my fun fact of the evening. Another fun tip is I live in an apartment building, so I'll usually put my food waste into a bowl and I stick it in my freezer. That way the flies don't pop up. And then when I'm ready, I'll take it down to the green bin. I also brought some more iHeart Richmond resource guides. So don't forget, everybody in a single family and duplex, you all have 2 curbside pickups available. One is a bulky item, 3 items, and you can also get a bagged item pickup as well. And then our last page, page 6, has all our wonderful city apps as well as phone numbers if you want to report any issues such as illegal dumping or potholes. Moving on to the Housing Authority, very exciting news. We have a new executive director of the Housing Authority, Antoinette Terrell. Her first day is today. So they will be bringing the new executive director to future RNCC meetings to introduce them to everybody. Additionally, last but certainly not least, the port in the past week had berms installed in some turnout areas on Canal Boulevard around the port. These are designed to allow cars or trucks to still pull off the road if needed, but they have restricted the open road area available for sideshows. This initiative is to provide further safety around the port and minimize speeding and reckless driving. Any questions?
Any questions online? I have a question.
Yes.
I was sharing the post of City of Richmond's annual career fair. Can you talk about job openings and employment opportunities in the City of Richmond?
Yeah, I apologize because I'm probably not the best person to do this. HR always has a wonderful update, but please feel free if anybody is interested in working for the city of Richmond. All of our job openings are available. If you go to the city website, departments, go to HR. There's a complete, you'll go over to job openings, and that has a list of all of our available jobs. I also want to note that the city posts all of our jobs via governmentjobs.com. So if anybody is interested in working in government, please feel free to check out that website. It's a really wonderful resource. And the other benefit to applying through jobs on that portal is that you basically enter your information in once. And then you kind of update it as needed for whatever job you are applying for. But it's nice because it helps to ease the lift in terms of applying for multiple jobs and submitting multiple applications. So it's a really wonderful portal if anybody is interested in applying for a government job. And definitely, please, thank you so much for sharing the post. We really appreciate that. The city of Richmond has quite a few job openings, and new openings are always happening. So we definitely recommend joining us at the job fair, speaking with our HR department. They're really wonderful, really nice, and can certainly help with any questions about any of the job openings. And I apologize, HR would have done a better job, so I apologize.
Oh, no worries. Thank you. That was terrific. And I also wanted to mention that the career fair, City of Richmond annual career fair is Thursday, November 21st, 2024, noon to 4 p.m. So that's going to be held at the or Memorial Auditorium, Richmond Auditorium. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Real fast, just want to mention, piggyback on what you mentioned about the pickup. I want to mention that I actually used the pickup recently, and I was able to use 2 large items, and then on the mattress, they allowed the mattress and box spring to be counted as 1. So it was awesome because I was able to get that mattress and box spring out of there. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I always love to hear when it goes well. Please feel free to tell your neighbors and your family and your friends who are in the area. It's a wonderful program, and I'm so happy to hear that. Oh, thank you. Yay. Sorry, always makes me happy.
Are there any questions left? Anybody? No? Well, thank you, Samantha.
Yeah.
Greatly appreciated.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving. Next, we have community services.
Good evening, everyone. This is Stephanie and I, Community Services Recreation Division. And I just want to apologize in advance because I'm still getting over a cold, so I might be coughing here and there. But I wanted to keep my mask on. So first, I just want to give you guys the typical reminders that neighborhood councils have access to using our community centers for your regular in-person meetings at no cost, as well as 1 free annual event. You should be getting ready to schedule your 2025 meeting, so go ahead and get your applications in to reserve the community centers. In addition, you have access to our printing and mailing services. Please contact us for your print jobs, and please submit them in advance as much as possible. In terms of recaps, on October 30th, the City of Richmond held a ribbon cutting for Dirt World Bike Park. We received about $1 million in funding from Prop 68 to revitalize Dirt World Bike Park, and it is now open to the public. So that's located on 20th and Ohio on the Greenway, and you're welcome to use it now. For upcoming events, we have the annual tree lighting at the Richmond Auditorium, Wednesday, November 20th from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. We'll have holiday music, story time with special guests, and feel free to bring a special ornament to place on the tree. We also have our senior winter ball at the auditorium coming up on Saturday, December 14th from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. Tickets are $45 per person or $360 for a table of 8. Please contact the registration office for more information. That's 510-620-6793. We're continuing to offer our after-school programs. They are in session for K through 8. These programs are held from after school until 6 p.m., and we have programs available at Shields Reed, Nevin, Parchester, and May Valley Community Centers. We're also continuing to offer our free tennis and homework assistance program to Richmond youth, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. at the Recreation Complex. This is open to youth ages 8 to 18 years old. We also have Zumba classes at the Recreation Complex, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 7 to 8 p.m., and Saturdays, 8:30 to 9 a.m. These are $6 per class, and registration is required. Aqua Zumba is also offered at the Plunge, Saturdays, 10:15 to 11:15 a.m., $10 per class, and pre-registration is required. I also want to remind everybody that we have our Love Your Block in-kind sponsorship program that accepts applications on a rolling basis. If you want to hold your own community beautification project, whether that's a gardening event or a trash cleanup event, we're able to provide you the supplies for your event and to help you beautify Richmond. Please contact me, Stephanie Nye, 620-6563 if you're interested in the program or want more information. Lastly, for Neighbor to Neighbor, a few quick reminders. We have our Neighbor to Neighbor service and survey and focus group summary that has been emailed to all the neighborhood council presidents, and it's also been posted on the City of Richmond webpage for Neighbor to Neighbor. At this point, you guys should all be brainstorming your events, so I'm really glad to hear everybody's updates that they provided today. And just remember that all your events require approval, and that you should be able to justify how your event connects neighbors to neighbors. Also a reminder, when you're planning your events, you need to have a permit or park reservation if you're holding your event at a city facility, and these need to be submitted 30 days in advance. With that being said, I am really excited to introduce you guys all to our new Neighbor to Neighbor analyst, Alexis Grace. I'm going to have her come up and introduce herself and just give some updates on what she's working on for Neighbor to Neighbor. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone, and everyone online. My name is Alexis Grace, and I am the new, administrative analyst for the Neighbor to Neighbor grant in community service. Currently, I am working on a multi-neighborhood kickoff, just to where we all can get to know each other within the neighborhoods and just feed off of each other and see what everybody else's ideas, so we can just get this ball rolling. I just want to say that I'm excited to be a part of this grant and to have some community engagement in the city of Richmond, and see you guys around. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome to the team. Does anybody have any questions for Stephanie? I have two questions, and Philip has a question for you.
Quickly, come up to the mic. Sorry.
Stephanie, you mentioned we have access to the printing facility, which we use for the 4 times or 3 times a year that we do a direct mailing. Can we use it for our flyers and things that we're using for our events? And how long has this been available? And did I miss it? Is it neighbor to neighbor?
You mean, wait, which part?
So
which part are you asking
if
is
we're
available?
doing a community event and we need 200 flyers, we can use the print, we can use the city's print facility?
Yeah.
Has that always been the case?
So neighborhood councils have always had access to printing and mailing 4 times a year.
Right.
If you're not mailing it out and you're just printing out flyers, you could probably use it an extra 2 times or so, just because of the cost of the printing offsetting the cost of mailing if you're not using the mailing.
So just check with you and see what's available.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
It's one of our biggest expenses.
Yeah.
Lori, you have a question?
Stephanie, with the new addition on, I had been wondering, are you guys going to have somebody that's going to help the neighborhoods build websites? We had talked about that several times, being a component with the neighborhood to neighborhood, so that we could get a better footprint out to be visible within the neighborhoods.
So do you mean like building separate websites, for example, like parchesterneighborhoodcouncil.com or something like that? Or do you mean like what the web pages within the city website?
I meant specifically helping the neighborhoods themselves get their own websites up together, correct?
I think that's something that we can definitely explore. We're able to fund, for example, like the domain purchase of parchesterneighborhoodcouncil.org, for example. But actually building out the website, I am not sure if we would be able to do that. We could provide you some technical assistance perhaps, but we're not trained on building out websites ourselves. We're trained on updating the city website. So if you're using a different platform, we might not necessarily have the technical skill to be able to build it out for you. Does that make sense?
Will be able to, and that is some of the things that I am working on, is capacity building and technical assistant around creating flyers and stuff like that. So that is something that I can build into that to where we can just have a little start off of showing you guys how to start a website.
That would be great. Thank you.
No problem. Sorry for interrupting.
No worries.
Jump in when needed.
Any other questions? Are there any online? I have two questions. Do we have any updates on the mailing process, the bulk mail?
Yes, so right now, mailers are either taken to El Cerrito or to Oakland. El Cerrito has very limited hours. They're only open from 10 to 12:30, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, and you also have to call in advance, and they don't always answer. And so because of that limited availability, if you miss that window, then we would direct you to Oakland, which unfortunately is quite a bit farther. They're open from 11 to 7 every weekday.
So get them in early.
I'm sorry?
Get your mailers in early and expect to take a trip.
Yeah.
Are you? Get it.
You missed that memo, huh?
No. Our 82-year-old volunteer spent 6 hours at the Oakland airport trying to mail things and carrying these boxes up and down from place to place to place. And then they said that they wouldn't take them. And then finally, the assistant manager of the Oakland facility took pity on him and just took the stuff in. Respectfully, why can't one person from the city go and mail it all at once? Maybe we can come in and sign the forms, but we utilize these forms, these mailers, and they're significant to us. But this is a burden for volunteers using our own vehicles and our own time. We have a lot of retirees, so we have people to do it. But can you imagine asking one of your staff to take 4 hours out of their day to drive to Oakland in their own car with their own money to mail something for a department with a multi-million-dollar budget? Stephanie, is there any way we can, that the city can figure out how to just put them all in one truck and send somebody to do them?
So I definitely understand the frustration, and you're not the first person who has relayed that to me. We don't currently have the resources to be able to do that, but we have been trying to identify them. So I understand your frustration. In terms of what you encountered at Oakland, that was amongst one of the first times it occurred. Since then, we were informed by Richmond Post Office that they have terminated those services at least until, like, indefinitely, until either the position is filled or something to that effect. And so we do have an arrangement that's now effective where we can take it to either El Cerrito or to Oakland. And I will say we have not sent formal communications out to all the neighborhood councils yet. You have not seen that from me yet. We are still like working out all the little details of it, but that's what I'm able to provide you today. And once we have the arrangement really set up, then we will send out those instructions and the communications to the neighborhood councils.
Do you think the city can make a standing appointment with the El Cerrito Post Office to make deliveries that either the city in one foul swoop or maybe us working together? Because I've picked up if I walk into the lobby and I see another neighborhood council's thing, I just take it and I call that neighborhood council president and say, I'm taking your stuff. We don't both have to go. Do you think maybe you can make a standing appointment where amongst the 175,000 or 126,000 residents and staff, we can just get somebody to go once and fulfill this standing order?
So I do think that that's a possibility, but where the complications come in is that in a majority of cases, the requests are running behind. We're receiving them late, we're processing them as fast as possible, and essentially the day that they're completed, they want them to be taken to the post office. So that makes it kind of difficult coordinating, because if we're gonna do a standing appointment, let's say once a week, and someone needs it in on Monday, someone wants to take theirs in on Monday, someone's print job is completed on Wednesday, they want it the same day, that's not.
The requests from the neighborhood councils are running like that? Or the city in general?
We received the print request a bit later than we should, and then we'd like to, and that leads to kind of just a little bit of running behind.
But that's kind of on us. If you're very clear when you need 4 weeks.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but
I'm sorry.
we have to continue.
I'm so sorry.
Thank you.
But this is not manageable.
Yeah, I understand. I've been through it. Also, just in closing, if you can remind everybody, how long in advance do you need to reserve the rec center or community centers? Is it still 30 days?
30 days in advance.
Okay. Well, thank you for your presentation. Greatly appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, no worries. Next we have planning. Is Avery still here? Hello, Avery?
Can you hear me all right? Yes, can you hear me?
Yep.
Good evening, Rncc. Avery Stark, Acting Planning Manager with the Planning Division. A number of updates tonight. Following up with last meetings, we've brought on board one new planning technician, Eldarin, who has started with us just last week. So he is in his first week. He's doing very well. You'll see him up at the front counter on the second floor. And then starting in December 2nd, Nora will be joining us as another planning technician. So I'll find time probably in the new year to bring them by to a meeting to introduce you to them so you can get to know their names and their faces. Upcoming meeting agenda items. So on December 11th, for the design review board, we are taking the 2 additional iterations of the pre-approved, pre-designed ADU plans for their review and consideration as a part of the ADU toolkit, which also includes 2 other design formats for bungalow and more of a traditional style, modern, and a there was one more I've forgotten. So that's, again, just an informational conversation with DRB so we can get feedback on the designs that we currently have proposed to our consultant Opticos, who's helping prepare both an ADU toolkit and the pre-approved ADU plans that would be available to Richmond residents. So you'd be able to come into that little library of options and pick one of the 4 designs depending on your home style, and it would greatly reduce the cost. You wouldn't need to hire an architect. You'd be able to pick from designs that the city has already vetted. It would make the review process go much smoother, and also it's going to help reduce costs on the end of the applicant homeowner to get those plans approved. And then on to, let's see, last week at Planning Commission, we had the update to the Chevron modernization project presentation provided by Lena and our applicant. It was received by the Planning Commission. There was just a number of kind of general comments and questions. This year's report came a little late because of timing in last year's report and some other things that delayed it. So this year's report was just later received than typical. Let's see. Staff had done a visit to the Chevron facility earlier last week. Both myself and Matt Newbaumer, the senior planner, for 2 new projects. One which is a new set of boilers. There will be a new potential solar field coming in, and that will all be projects that would be brought in front of the design review board and then planning commission as necessary. Last week, the Planning Commission heard also for the CPSA emergency housing shelter at 207 37th Street. They heard a number of comments and testimony from the public and ultimately directed staff to draft recommendations of denial to be brought back to them at December 19th's Planning Commission meeting, where they will receive a brief presentation from staff and the findings for denial of the emergency shelter for their consideration. And then lastly, as far as updates, the city, will begin kicking off a new working group. We have hired a consultant, Good City, to assist us in the updating of the tobacco retailers license and permitting process within the city of Richmond. As many may be aware, we're under a current moratorium that will expire in April of next year. And so we're now going to begin the diligent work of both internally aligning process and procedure, doing 3 different community outreach meetings at the beginning of the new year to address different concerns, to understand the existing landscape of the tobacco retailers within the city of Richmond, and how we would like to move forward as a city. So I will continue to provide updates on when and where those community meetings will be held. One will be in person with a set of stakeholders that are more focused on business owners, business development, economic development. We'll have a second one that will then be focused more for residents, owners, invite the school district. Will really be focused on understanding the health implications and health impacts. And then a third one will be really focused on what is being proposed as far as amendments and changes to the zoning text, procedures for how someone would get a permit, who would maybe not be able to get a permit anymore, and then how we will just proceed in general with enforcement action regarding unlicensed tobacco retailers in the city of Richmond, and kind of going forward. So I will be sure to keep this group abreast of any updates or community meetings that would be of interest to individuals. Otherwise, I do not have any other major updates. I'm happy to answer any questions or take note of anything that the group would like me to report back on next month or separately in an email.
We've got a couple questions for you, Rock.
Yes. You were communicating on the ADU process. They're going to have something coming out where there's ADUs that they can expedite the process. It can move along a little faster, you were saying?
Correct. Yeah, so the city's producing an ADU toolkit, which will help homeowners understand how to build and develop an ADU kind of from soup to nuts. And then along with that, we're preparing ADU plan sets for pre-approved plan sets that homeowners would be able to utilize on their properties to, again, reduce costs from needing a designer and also expedite the permitting process with the city of Richmond.
I just wanted to communicate as a citizen and active in my community. I've got involved in the process, the ADU process, and I'm involved in it right now. And it took me for months to I had to get it into the process. And when I went to the office there was a lot of changes. There was a gentleman named Sergio that helped me that no longer works there anymore. I was told for somebody in the engineering department, when I was communicating with that individual, bounced around, then there was somebody by the name of, with the water recovery, that if I asked a question that they were so backed up that just back up, nicely back off. And I've been through the hoops to the point where the person, I guess, was in, I'm working in the permit process now, but the person was on vacation at the time and I had to wait a little bit. That's fine. I understand that. But I've went from that part of the process to August 2nd, they sent back 4 pages of changes. And I understand there's got to be changes that have to be made, 4 pages of changes to a designer, to the designer, like you're talking about designers, the designer that I asked for a paper to choose from the selection of designers and architects, and I asked which people were pretty good in the process there. And I've communicated with that designer, and I had a hard time getting a hold of him, and he had a couple excuses along the line. But now, since August 2nd, I wrote him, I've got an organization, an organized text where I'll just get, somebody can just push. I said, can I just communicate with you? August 2nd. And they just put, I guess it's, they push that button that says, call you later. I got a couple of those, and I've tried different things. Can I communicate with you? I went back up there. This process, I went to the designer off of theirs. Now they have a system. I had heard they're going to have a new, instead of the E-Track, a new updated system. They have an updated system that's coming in January. I don't know if this is it. Before they do the system, whether it's Lena or Shaza or anyone, if I can work with anyone, I want to work with people. I love my city, but this is unbelievable. The process, I watched more ADUs being built out there. Unfortunately, the different ones are all done illegal. I've tried to be an example for my community. And my name is Rock Brown. My phone number is 510-978-1300. And I'm willing to work with anyone who's willing to help expedite the situation. If I have to get legal with my city, I'm so depressed. Please help me.
Thank you for that, Rock. My email is on the city's website, Avery_Stark.
Avery,
ci.richmond. Feel free
I'll
to
work
email
with you.
me directly, and we can set up a meeting, and we can review your permits and the building department as soon as you're available.
Thank you, Avery. I stay positive. You see how bright red I'm in the face right now. I'm very depressed over this.
I'd like to mention too that anybody that's considering building an ADU, anytime you pull a permit, your home, now you've got me twisted.
You want to talk about the taxes?
Yeah, your property taxes
will be
can go
adjusted.
up.
Your property tax, I've done so much research on this. I want to be an example. I understand so much about the engineering. Everything has to be done. When he speaks about the property taxes, it'll be done. The good news is it's done only on the they're going to take it according to the square footage on your property. Now I don't want to don't quote me on that exactly how they'll do that on the whether it be a garage or the ADU, but they're going to do it. They're going to adjust it, calculate it accordingly, and there is a process involved with everything.
Thank you, Rock. Are there, Jan, you have a question?
Yeah, hi Avery. I noticed that there was a house on, I think it's 37th, I know it's on Wilson and Roosevelt, that want to basically grandfather in their fences. And I'm sure that there are these 8-foot fences, which my neighborhood doesn't need. Unless you've got a, killer dog in your yard, I don't see why you have an 8-foot fence. The city, when they did the front yard fence of 4 feet, that was, that was a 6-month fight with everybody, what was the right height and everything. And I really, anybody who goes ahead and just puts a fence up and disregards what it should be is very upsetting to me. And I really feel that we shouldn't just say, okay. We should say, they need to cut it down to what it should be. We have a fence on 28th and, the house is on 28th, and their fence is too high. You can't see down there. If a car's coming, you're gonna get hit. And this is one of the reasons why we have these rules. So it's kind of one of those things that if we need to hold these people, we make ordinances, let's support them, let's follow through and say, this is how we do it. It's one of those things that it's one of those little pet peeves that makes me crazy. You know, I'll see somebody put up a fence that's half put up, it's not even put up right. And, oh, we have to have it. There's no reason, you just doing stuff behind it, it's illegal most likely. Thank you.
Yeah, if you
Thank,
would like, you can follow up with me directly with those addresses, and I can certainly communicate and connect with Eva Mann, the manager of code enforcement. We have a code enforcement officer go out and check out those properties to determine kind of the current status and next steps for coming into compliance or getting permits if available.
Yeah, I tried to look online, you know, just pop up the address, and there's no fence there at the moment. At least not from, but it could be old, you know, old Google pictures. So I will go by and check them out myself. Thank you.
thank you. We have another question.
Hello, Avery. You mentioned about the Warming Center. I think I did speak at that meeting because I had a similar concern because it's right. Well, technically, it's in my area, Park Plaza, but technically it's on Pullman. So that being said, so my concern is that I had do you know when it would come? You said it would come back to the Planning Commission on the 19th. So I'm thinking it's like it is a good idea, but my concern is that like it's like near a middle school. So can you provide can you provide where we at? Has the applicant talked to the other businesses along that corridor? That's it.
Correct. So CPSA's emergency shelter, which they were seeking a conditional use permit for, will be heard again by the Planning Commission on December 19th. It will not be a public hearing. It will just be to receive an updated resolution prepared by staff as we were directed to prepare findings of denial for the shelter. And so we will be returning with an updated agenda report and resolution to make findings of denial for the Planning Commission to hear and make a vote on.
Thank
As
you,
far
Avery.
as what the applicant's done to communicate with the neighborhood, I'm unaware of any further communications at this point.
Do we have any questions online? Seeing none? Oh, we have one more.
Hi, Avery. Margarita Minas with Marina Bay Neighborhood Council. I would like some updates. Marina Bay has a number of issues going on, and I'm pretty sure you're aware of it because you've been CC'd on these emails. But the first one is an update on the Transmontane project. There's been a lengthy discussion, emailing, letters, and the project overall is not, the community doesn't want that expansion project. And I know that there's an environmental review that's in place or in process. But my fear here is that you know that Marina Bay and the council, and we've had a number of discussions about this project, that somehow or another, we don't get notified of the updates. So that's one thing. The second thing is, Lena contacted me about a grant that was being proposed for crossings in Marina Bay. And I submitted a number of crossing railways where we would like a quiet zone. And I followed up a few times via email, and I haven't heard back from anybody on the status. So would like to hear back from somebody on that. I've also would love to hear or have any one of you representatives to come to a Marina Bay Neighborhood Council meeting. The third thing is we have a crosswalk, and we've had a few incidents where a mother and her child almost got hit. So the community, I've been asked if we can get some crosswalk, you know, the lights that are in the crosswalk. I don't know exactly what they're called. I'm not sure if this is your area, but considering the fact that there's a grant that's being proposed for Marina Bay, maybe this can be incorporated in that. But without having some direct dialogue with anybody at the planning, it's hard to get any feedback from you all. So any input on that, that would be great. But the area that I'm talking about is right outside Regatta and Seadrift. And we have a setup already on Marina Bay Parkway as an example. So anyway, would love to get some feedback. So if you can, please let me know. I'd appreciate it. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. If you'd like, my contact information again is on the Planning Division's website page. I can read it off. It's just avery_stark@ci.richmond.ca.us. Feel free to email me directly, and we can set up a meeting, or I could attend a Marina Bay Point community meeting to
Oh,
hear and
okay.
understand
And
concerns.
I appreciate you giving me your email address again, and I do contact you, and you are copied on these emails, but nobody's responding. I mean, I can continue and we can have another email conversation in hopes that you'll respond, and that's great. I mean, I'll do that, but that's the reason why I'm here tonight, is because I'm not getting any feedback. So, I'll try again, and use your email. Thanks.
All right, thank you.
You have a question?
Yeah.
Okay. Rock's got a question.
Avery, I wanted to ask you, we used to, I know that they put stuff on the computers now, but we used to be able to get a hard copy for our meetings now that we're back in person. If you're going to come to the meeting, would you, I'm just saying, you could bring a hard copy of all the projects and things that are coming up, the city. We used to get that. Now they put it online. And if you're like, example, if you're not going to come or something, I'll give you my information. I'll come by the city and I'll pick it up or what have you. If they wouldn't mind just making a few copies, I'll go to you, I'll pick it up and I'll distribute it so everybody has a.
That's all right. Thank you. Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying it used to just, I know they could print it up back then, but, or leave it online. It just was, for transparency, it was nice when they put a few copies. Maybe not, I get it, not 50, but maybe even 15 or 20. Thank you. That's all. Sorry.
Lori has a question?
No, I just have a comment. I want to speak to all the neighborhood councils. I actually attended a commission meeting via Zoom, and I want to encourage you guys to really sit in on those meetings, because what I witnessed is what planning said they were doing versus what we see planning is doing. So there is people, planning is accountable to the commission. And I think if more of us start attending those meetings and letting some of these issues, bringing them to the forefront, then they may start to be addressed. Because it was quite enlightening for me to see what planning was claiming was being done versus what I and a lot of the neighbors are seeing being done. Now, it may be wonderful what they plan on doing, but what they're actually doing versus what they're claiming to do is something that we as neighborhood councils need to get involved in and hold everybody accountable. Because all of these issues that I'm hearing, I have heard. I live at 608 Griffin Drive. There has been a fence that has not been grandfathered in. I cannot look around the corner. It's an accident waiting to happen. And I'm not right. I do not want to sue my city, but if I get injured because this fence that I reported to code enforcement 1, 2, 3, 4, 5+ times, and nothing has ever been done about it, somebody has to be held accountable. Thank you.
All right, any questions online? Avery? Avery, you
Yes.
still there?
Here.
Okay, I just, before I let you go, I just wanted to let you know that as the chair of the RNCC, a lot of the complaints that I get are about planning, and the complaints are about planning not getting back to people. And you've heard it here tonight from multiple neighborhood councils, so I would ask that you guys work on that and work on communicating and replying to some of the emails that planning is receiving. And that's all. I appreciate you coming in, and I appreciate your presentation. Thank you. Have a happy holiday.
You too.
Thank you. So moving on, Public Works, Carlos Castro.
Hello, good evening again. Carlos Castro, Supervisor for the Streets Maintenance Division. I apologize for the glare on my screen. Let's see if I can help that out a little bit. Um, Sorry about that. My updates. First, with the rain events that we have coming later this week, I want to remind everybody that we have two self-fill sandbag stations. One is on Harbor Way, located close to the Greenway, which is the back gate to the courtyard. The other one is at the Bayview Library, located on Hartnett. Those are both self-fill stations. There will be empty bags and shovels and plenty of sand at both locations. But if you are a senior or disabled citizen, you can call us at 510-620-5509 to request a delivery of sandbags. I will put that phone number in the chat when I'm done also. We do ask that you limit your request to no more than 10 sandbags. That way we have plenty to deliver to all citizens. That information will also be in the weekly report at the end of the week that the city manager puts out. Paving season, with the rain, paving season is going to be wrapping up. We'll be focusing on small base repairs, filling potholes, and something we also do is we surface clean the drain inlets during any rain events. Um, there is a number of jobs that we did not get to this season. The slurry seal project that the city had kind of put our in-house paving behind schedule because we had to go in front of the slurry seal and do a bunch of spot repairs. So a bunch of jobs are getting pushed to next year. And there's also a change in the way that we're doing things. Well, one thing that we're doing now is installing new ADA ramps before we pave a street. So we're doing a lot of shuffling, reshuffling, and doing things in a new way at the advice of our newer public works director. It's going to be a better process. It just put us behind this year. Going forward, it will be a better process though. Uh, our sign shop has been installing new banners for the farmers market. We've been installing new signs for the MVP lot. Um, so we're everywhere through the city. Something that we're also doing is installing new street name signs and stop signs on our paving projects. That way, when we pave the street, you're also getting new signs that you know just make the job look a whole lot better. We haven't started installing new street sweeping signs because there's discussions of an outside contractor installing those. So we're right now focusing on street name signs, stop signs, speed limit signs, things like that whenever we do pave a street, and then we have the refresh. Major project that we're going to be working on starting this week, and it's going to probably take us at least a month, is refreshing all the markings and railroad crossing signs all throughout the city. That's something that the Federal Railroad Administration um, is basically having us do. So that's a major project that we're going to be working on this winter. And then let me check. Street sweeping. Of course, we did a street sweep on Veterans Day. That was a city holiday. There's also not going to be any street sweeping next Thursday or Friday, which are both city holidays, Thanksgiving and the day after. Our normal schedule will resume on December 2nd, and we'll just go forward with our normal schedule. The street sweeping signs are going to be getting installed within the next 2 weeks. There's 15 neighborhoods throughout the city that don't have signs. Those neighborhoods are all going to be getting signs. The first three neighborhoods that are getting new street sweeping signs are the Richmond Annex neighborhoods, because those are three of the largest neighborhoods in the city that don't have signs. Um, I don't know if anybody here, but I know I've talked to a couple of people and they've asked for signs, not to be directly in front of their house. The city worked with two outside contractors for placement, and we're still, uh, the plan isn't 100%. If signs have to be moved, we still are adjusting them. But as far as people requesting not in front of their house, I was told that that's not going to happen. The sign has to go where it has to go, and pretty much that's all there is to it. Um, so with that being said, the plan right now is to start installing the street sweeping signs, and our outside contractor says that he should be done by January or February, and then tickets will start getting issued again in March. That's going to come from the city council, the city manager, and as far as I know, I believe there will be some sort of warning system and messages sent out through Facebook, through the city's website, whatever other social media the city operates, to let people know that street sweeping citations will be getting enforced again. That is all I have. Let me double check. Yep, that is all I have. I'm open for any questions.
I see two questions. We've got one coming up to the podium.
Say, you may not have this project, but there's the major water line project happening on Carlson between Cutting and 23rd. Do you happen to know if that part of the road will be repaved once they're done?
The area that East Bay Mud installs their line, they will pave that lane, yes.
Thank you, Lori.
Carlos, you mentioned that you're going to start the new signs being installed in 2 weeks, but there was talk about repainting the signs that were already there. Are you just going to leave those there? Is that still in the works for some of the signs that were that were faded?
So if you have any signs that you know directly, if you can give me an address, I will create a work order for those and we'll install those as we go. But as of right now, the consultant and the contractor, they're only installing the new signs. Anything that's there already and needs to be refreshed, that falls on us as of right now.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Garland, you have a question?
Hello, Carlos. What size are the signs going to be this time?
The signs are going to be 12 by 18. So if you were to look at signs on Barrett Avenue, those are 18 by 24s. The signs that we install, the new ones, are going to be 12 by 18, which is a lot smaller.
Thank you. We have two questions online.
John, do you want to unmute yourself and ask your question? John Bauman?
Yeah, thanks. Carlos, I was curious if you know when Cerro Sur and Cerro Norte are likely to get repaved. I've had questions from neighbors who indicate that they've had tire damage just driving up the street there. Do you know if that's on the
I
list for
believe
next year?
Cerro Sur is, but I will have to double check that tomorrow. I'll put my email address and my phone number in the chat, and can you email me, and that way I can get back to you and let you know?
Absolutely, thanks.
You're welcome.
Carlos, this is Josephine, President of the May Valley Neighborhood Council, and on behalf of the Neighborhood Council and all our residents, we just want to thank you and your team for the beautiful job you guys did at May and Santa Rita. Thank you so much for your prompt response for those crosswalks. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll pass on the kind words to the crew. Also, just so you know, there is some more work that we have to do on May Road. We have two work orders. One is May Road at Dianza. There's a crosswalk and a couple signs we have to refresh. And then May Road at Valley View, there's a lot of striping and arrows and lane lines that we have to refresh there. Hopefully it's not too wet and we can squeeze that in.
That would be great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We've got another question.
Hey, Carlos, the railroad track by the Burger King, they filled a little bit, so I want to thank you. It's still bad, but it's much less dangerous. It's the other railroad, not BNSF. My understanding is the city intends to install street sweeping signs in neighborhoods that don't have street sweeping. Is that true or just a horrifying rumor?
No, we're only installing signs that in neighborhoods that we do have street sweeping.
Thank you. I'll tell my community.
Can I ask what community that is?
I live in Point Richmond, where we haven't ever had it. But I was told they were going to put the signs up, but that's good news. Thanks, Carlos. Hey, dude, we appreciate some beautiful improvements you've made to safety as well in our community. Thank you, Carlos, and happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Thank you.
Any other questions? Well, I haven't heard that many thank yous in a while. I'd also like to thank you too. Uh, Thank you for the paint job up there in the Fairmead Hilltop Neighborhood Council, or neighborhood, refreshing all the curbs, and greatly appreciated. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I think that's 4 in a row, bud.
I'm going to mark this down.
Yeah, yeah. Happy holidays.
Thank you for
Happy
everything, Carlos.
holidays.
Okay, thank you for your report.
When we give out so much sour, we definitely need to give out some sweet.
Yeah, there you go. So moving on, Richmond Police Department, Lieutenant Decius.
Hey, good
still-
evening, everyone. I'm trying to get my camera to work. Oh, maybe it is now. Good. Just to piggyback on what Carlos said about street sweeping, yes, we will be issuing warning citations for probably at least 30 days minimum prior to actually doing enforcement. So just a heads up on that. A little bit about the city. In terms of crime stats, it looks like our total crime index is down about 19% over the past month. So that includes sexual assaults are down 29%, robberies down 22, aggravated assaults, which are felonious assaults, are down about 15, and then larceny or just thefts in general are down 36. Vehicle thefts are up 5%, but we're working on trying to get that under control. A little bit about our department right now, just staffing wise, we have about 115 sworn. We are still diligently trying to hire as much as possible. 5 officers in the academy graduate, I want to say the first or second week of December. So we look forward to getting them on the streets and trained over the next 6 months. 3 new academy attendees or people going to the academy are going to start next week, if I'm not mistaken. And then about 4 or 5 additional will be starting in January. And we currently have 3 that are working in training right now, training on the streets. So hopefully with all of that, we'll have 115, 120, 23. We'll be up to about hopefully 128 to 130 fully staffed, or not fully staffed, but working on the streets by about hopefully the end of next year. A little bit about what's gone on in the city. We did have 1 homicide last month. I believe it was that 300 or 400 block of 20th Street. We did make an arrest this past weekend, so that's a good thing. Unfortunately, we've had 9 fatal collisions with 10 people deceased, and 1 was on Canal in the middle of October. I know Philip mentioned sideshows on Canal, and unfortunately, 4 individuals were driving recklessly in a stolen vehicle and lost control, and a juvenile lost her life. So we are actively working that. We have some more work to do in terms of forensic stuff, but we are trying to get to the bottom of that and get some closure for the families involved. We are still continually doing abatements throughout the city. I know that encampments are a major problem. Working with Michelle Milam, our parking enforcement representatives, all 6 of them. Good news, I'm not sure if I reported it a couple of months back, but we do have 2 new parking rep positions, which has just closed in terms of the application process. So we'll be doing some interviews, myself and Sergeant Melgoza, here in the next couple of weeks, hopefully. We also have the approval for 3 new CST positions. So those are civilian crime scene techs, which are going to assist us getting some of the officers who are working those positions back on the streets in patrol to bolster our numbers, and then have them kind of take over what the sworn officers have been doing to a certain extent. We are continually have our community academy, formerly known as the Citizens Academy. Lieutenant Patchen and then our PIO, Linnell Sanchez, have been spearheading that, getting them accustomed to, getting them kind of experience as to what we go through on a daily basis, putting them through scenarios, taking them on the boat, having officers on SWAT, traffic, CSIs, homicide unit, giving them presentations to them so they kind of know what the day in a life can be for us if things get a little bit hectic. A couple of good things our code enforcement and our investigations units have been doing. They've been doing compliance checks at a lot of our smoke shops. Unfortunately, they're not all in compliance and a lot of contraband has been seized. Let's see what else. And we did have our haunted house, our now annual haunted house with over 600 community members came through with hot dogs being grilled up and a lot of candy being handed out. So it was a really good community event. And I'm not sure if I mentioned it previously, but going forward, the Cinco de Mayo parade is now not occurring in May. It's occurring for the September for the Independence Day for a whole bunch of the Latin American countries. And that's all that I have at this point. So thank you.
I see quite a few questions coming up. Let's start with Rock.
Dijon, thank you for serving always. Next, tonight, about maybe, I don't know if it was 5 o'clock, on the corner of San Pablo and Esmond, there was a situation, and there's about, I don't know, about five police officers out there. Is there anything you can elaborate? It was on the southeast corner in like a car sales place. They had a car in there and people out.
It looks like there was some sort of a brandishing with a firearm. Nobody was hurt. We do have
Okay,
suspect
good.
information. The officers are still kind of working that right now. Some follow-up going on. But it was some sort of a disturbance. Someone pulled a gun, brandished it. No shots were fired.
Good.
And we do have some sort of suspect information. So it is safe at this point in time, but the suspect has not been apprehended yet.
Thank you, sir.
Garland?
Yes, sir.
Hello, Lieutenant Desch. This is Garland, Richmond Annex. Question. On Carlson Boulevard, we have a permanent speed sign which is not operating. We have a temporary sign which is. These signs that you put up, whether they're temporary or permanent, can they have a record in them so that if vehicles are going over a certain speed, it will record it and the time that it's happening so that you would know when to have enforcement in that area to try to break up the speeding in that area?
Yes. So first of all, we use those mostly as a deterrent. Obviously, if people go a certain mile per hour over at the certain threshold that we place in there, it's going to flash tell them to slow down. We do have it's all web based. So when my sergeant is the one that uses it mostly. He's the one that's putting them out. We have 3 of those mobile radar units, but we do have the ability to go back and look at, the speed ranges, the time of the day when people are driving the fastest, and then utilizing that for enforcement action. I will say one thing. So as everyone knows, our traffic unit has been absorbed into our patrol teams. Starting in January, luckily, one of them is coming back full-time during the daytime hours on a motor. So you're going to start seeing, granted, it's only one officer, and we'll try to get some others working extra when we have time, but there's going to be one officer who's going to be out in the areas which are kind of data-driven for the most collisions and then the most speed violations by utilizing those radar units. So to answer your question, Garland, yes, we have that ability. And then we're slowly getting our traffic unit back up to some staffing levels where they are primarily going to be out there, well, solely for traffic enforcement.
Thank you. Cordell and then Lori.
Yes, Lieutenant Decius, I think I mentioned it to Lieutenant Bashan last month. Once again, I've been speaking with a lot of businesses along 23rd Street, and they had the exact same concern. People continue to speed past the speed limit. So hopefully, I'm glad that we got the parking enforcement persons coming on board. I'm glad. That's one. And then the other thing that I had mentioned last month was regarding the prostitution along 23rd Street, right by Andy's Donuts and Veterans Hall. And I'm hoping that at some point, because I remember y'all used to have the sting operation, so I'm hoping that you can bring that back again. That would be very helpful.
We actually had one of those last Thursday night, one of those operations on 23rd Street, which was relatively successful. And then to answer your question or your comment about 23rd Street and speeding, last month we did have what's called the pedestrian operation, since it was Pedestrian Awareness Month. through the National Highway Traffic for Nitsa. And we did do a pedestrian operation where we had some of our parking enforcement utilizing the crosswalks, going across the street, hitting the signal, which makes the yellow light flash. And then for those that aren't paying attention and driving past them, they were receiving citations. And then one last thing for Cordell is you missed me at the Park Plaza meeting because I was the first one to speak. So you did me wrong by not mentioning that when you first got up there. So thank you.
Lori?
Office Lieutenant Decius, at our last neighborhood council meeting, one of the residents brought to light that they believe they saw a flock camera at the top of Griffin, and they wanted to know if in fact it was and if it was active. And I'd like to know, are we going to get the other ones anytime soon? Thank you.
So I don't, and I'll be honest, I don't know if that one at that intersection is one or not. And I don't know when the other ones are going to be installed. And I don't know the exact location they're going to be. I can hit up Captain Lopez or Lieutenant Vachon, who are the ones in investigation, who are still spearheading that along with our chief technology guru, Eric Town. So when they're going to be put out, I don't know. I believe there's been a hiccup with the actual installation of it from Flock. It sounds like it's a little bit more delayed than what we initially thought. But I will again try to find out the best I can.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're very
Do we have
welcome.
any questions online? No? I have a couple statements, then a question. I wanted to thank RPD for being so quick to red tag. Oh, I'm sorry. Jan, go ahead.
Go ahead, finish yours.
Yeah, okay. So I wanted to thank RPD for being so quick to red tag an RV in our neighborhood in the Fairmead Hilltop right by Contra Costa College. And I didn't know that you had 72 hours after it's been red tagged to move it. Also wanted to thank RPD for the trunk or treat up at Hilltop. They showed up. Chief Bisa French was there, and it was a great event. I wanted to ask you, you said 115 sworn officers right now, and I thought it was, we were looking at 160 as what we were looking for. And how many officers are going to be retiring in 2025?
So right now, based on the roster, which I just received, we have 115 sworn, and that's from the chief of police all the way down to the lowest officer who's on training. I believe the city council has allowed us to have 145. I know the chief wants to get above that, but it is difficult competing with other cities, municipalities, and getting those very qualified candidates. And I'm sorry, your last question, the last portion of that was what?
How many are retiring next year?
That's a good question. I only know of one, and I don't know if we have any at the end of this year, but I only know of one, maybe two next year.
Okay.
I'm in 26, so.
That's good. All right, thank you.
So hopefully only a couple. I mean, we do this ebbs and flows. We do these ups and downs where we get it and then we lose, and things happen. So we are on a net gain the last couple of years. We're hoping to boost it even more. Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, it truly is. And Captain Smith, Lieutenant Reyna, Sergeant Bailey, everyone up in personnel training is working their butts off. But we are battling other agencies and other cities that are kind of dealing with the same shortage. So it's just about tenacity and persevering. So I truly hope by the time I leave, we have about 140, which is 1 year, 5 months.
All right, thank you. Jan?
Lieutenant Decius, the radar or the radar sign on McBride, they need to turn it for the other direction. That's where you're going to get the people coming from San Pablo Avenue down to 29th. So he catch more people that way. Believe me, I know.
We'll make sure. I believe that's the one where they stole 3 bolts. So it was actually leaning down a little bit. So I believe we moved it and we're getting it repaired. It's just like people that steal wires from the lights. We kind of, and that's why we take the wheels off of them, because if we didn't, people in the middle of the night would probably steal the tires off.
Well, thank you for your report. Do we have any questions online? Nope. Well, thank you, and happy holidays, and stay safe out there.
Likewise, guys, take care. God bless. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to thank Chief Aaron Osario for being so patient. It's finally your turn. Okay. Richmond Fire Department is up next. Thank you for your patience. Greatly appreciated.
My name is Ben Faulkner. I'm the battalion chief on A shift for Richmond Fire Department. Just some stats. In October, we had a total of 1,354 incidents, which was up 127 from the previous month. Major categories from that, we had 5 structure fires, 9 vegetation fires, 118 homeless encampment fires, 762 EMS calls, and another 70 fire or medical alarms. In October, we had 4 firefighters successfully complete their 18-month probation. So when they get hired, we put them through our own internal academy, and they have their initial 18 months of employment is a probationary period where they go through a lot of training and testing, and we had 4 just successfully complete that, so they're now permanent firefighters in our department. On October 6th, we held an open house at Fire Station 64 as part of the National Fire Prevention Week. The event showcased different aspects of fire prevention education for the community, such as wildfire preparedness, fire safety in the home, emergency preparedness kits, first aid, and CPR. We also had tours of the fire station and our many apparatus at that station, and held a small demonstration of a structure fire response. We had over 200 residents attend that event. Also in October, the week of October 14th, 3 members of our department attended industrial firefighting school at Texas A&M, along with members of El Cerrito Fire Department and Chevron Fire Department. This training helps prepare our personnel to fight fires that may occur at the refinery, and we will be sending 6 more firefighters to that same training in 2025. Firefighter interviews, so we're hiring again. We're also low staffing, and we're in the process of hiring more. We just had interviews that we conducted in October. We had 298 candidates, and we have 50 that will be moving forward to the next phase of that process. We're also in full swing with the Richmond Fire, Richmond Police toy program. So anybody who is willing and capable, please donate toys. You can bring them to any fire station, and they'll be available for the giveaway later in December. And then Ms. Hart, I believe you asked last time about a structure fire, negative? Yes, sir. Okay. So numerous calls were received on that incident. No delay in response from the time that the initial call was received to the first unit was on scene is 11 minutes. And that area is one of the deepest response routes that we have in our department. All right. You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Any questions?
Yeah, I'd like to offer these to you. These are from the Point Richmond Neighborhood Council and via Rncc.
Thank you very much.
There you go. Yeah, do we have questions? Any questions?
Thank you for serving.
You're welcome.
Philip has a question behind you.
Hey, sorry, we have to do this
Be
thing.
my guest.
Welcome, thank you.
Thank you.
We have a problem, and I would like to encourage any neighborhood councils that border on BNSF property that is problematic, in that the city has no relationship with BNSF. And we may institutionally have more knowledge on this than you do. Over the last 60 years that my family has lived here. The challenges that we face are that they are federal, and so they don't really have to listen to the city all the time. In our particular neighborhood, particularly around the Point Richmond Tunnel that leads to Miller Knox Beach, in addition to homeless encampments, it's just completely overgrown. I noticed that the city manager and the public works director threw that ball into the court of the fire department. But in addition to the fire damage, we also have this foliage that is growing over the tunnel and causing a structural defect and leakage. So I don't think it should all be in your court. In the last 15 years ago, when we finally cleared this up, it was the mayor's office and the city attorney who got together and reached out to BNSF to hit these zones. I think you have high fire zone areas as well. So, and then we don't get any answers to these emails. And I know that you get 1 million of them. So we don't know what the status is with BNSF. We urge you to pursue your aspect of it, but we also urge you to call out the other departments, particularly from the top up. Because without a relationship with BNSF, nothing's happening. We have homeless encampment problems, as you know, in our community underneath the freeway. They're pulling the copper wire out, and they start bonfires to burn the rubber off of the copper wire, which causes toxic fumes. But then it's on Caltrans land, and you have to call the sheriff. So we need that relationship. We're willing to help. We're willing to provide you with institutional knowledge. We know this comes up every 10 years, but it's a problem, and I'm not getting any response, so please help.
Are there responses to our department that you submitted specifically?
Yeah, nobody has responded yet. So I can try to resend those emails.
I'll follow up.
Yeah, I don't really know, as I said, I think it's buck passing, and I think it's you have your part, but then they're going to say it's winter, so it's not high fire danger. But in the meanwhile, the tunnel is flooding because the trees are growing through the unreinforced concrete.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Did you have a question, Laura? Okay, I just wanted to ask you too, for those that are interested, I know the chiefs touched on this before. What is the process for obtaining a report?
Calling our administration, which is area code 510-307-8031. So that's our administrative phone number. Whatever report it is that you're seeking, let them know. Usually the more specific details obviously narrow it down, maybe date, time, address, and that would help them funnel down to what it is you're looking for.
Okay, greatly appreciated. And then your hiring process?
Our hiring process, so we put it on the website and some other areas that we advertise. And then there was a time period that applicants must submit their application, which has already passed. And then essentially they take those applications which are acceptable, meet the criteria, and those individuals then are advanced onto an interview process. So right now we're right in the middle of that interview process. Great. So if somebody's seeking employment, they're going to have to look for the next time that we...
Next round?
Yes.
Thank you. Do we have any questions online? Any other, Laurie?
No, I was just going to mention about our RNCC party. That's what I had forgotten, that we're going to have our holiday RNCC party on December the 9th. And we're asking all of the RNCC members to bring toys to that event. So that's what that was. Thank you.
Thank you.
And you can invite the fire and police to come too.
And I want to invite all the handsome firemen and policemen. I have a girlfriend that sings internationally, and she swears, no, that was Pam the nurse. There has never been an ugly fireman, and I have to agree with that. So that aside, come on out. We've got good fun, good eats, and lots of toys and stuff for you guys.
Make sure you have your rings on, fellas.
Oh, it's a senior center.
You got a mic?
It's at the Senior Center at McDonald.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks again. Yeah, I want to thank you guys for your patience. Greatly appreciated. So I guess we're moving on to old business, which is new policies. Does anybody want to have any updates on new policies? Okay, thank you. And then we'll move on to new business. One of them is we're going to help create a neighborhood council in the El Sobrante Hills. I want to thank Lori for helping put together the flyer, which should be, it's in print, so it should be mailed out here this month. I think the elections will be held December 5th, which is a Thursday. So if you live in the El Sobrante Hills, look for that. And then, Jan, would you like to expand on our elections?
So every 2 years, the RNCC has elections. Used to be every year, but we changed it to every 2 years. So we have a committee, and we put together a slate. So what we have right now is Arto Rentila is president, myself as vice president, Josephine as treasurer, Lori Hart is secretary, Rock Brown is sergeant at arms, Rita Johnson as PIO, Garland Ellis as director at large, Margarita Mitas as director at large, and Bryce Aliman as director at large. So we always ask if there's anybody in the audience or now on Zoom that would like to throw their hat in the ring, speak up now.
We'd like to also mention that there is a kind of a prerequisite. You have to attend 6 general meetings in that year before we do our elections, and that's really about it. Just be proactive, and hopefully you can attend 6 meetings in order to become an officer. So I guess that's it. I'm sure everybody's done with their election hangovers. And before I get to Lori, I just wanted to add that we have a few city council meetings, and a few city council members, 2 of them being brand new, and then we have 2 brand new school board members that were just elected. So congratulations to them. Lori?
I was handed this late, and I'm sorry I didn't get it over to you, Garland, but apparently there's a annual crab feed in memory of Vanessa Serrano happening January 25th, 2025 at the Hercules Community Center. $75 for ages 11 up and $20 for ages 10 below, and a holiday tree lighting December 1st at the Hercules Community Swim Center. And I just want to remind everybody that if you have announcements, they need to be given to our PIO. And there we go. Thank you.
Well, on that note, I'd also like to say that the singing Christmas tree will be back up at Hilltop Community Church for anybody interested. Oh, Jan is saying we need to have a vote. So would you like to call for the vote?
Yeah, we actually do need to vote for the for our slate. Basically, if there's any, I'm just going to go with this one. If there's anybody that objects to raise their hand, we'll start with that. Do you have anybody hand raised over there?
I'd like to make a motion to accept the slate as presented.
Well, first we'll see if anybody doesn't want it, but yes, we can do that right after that. Okay. Do we have a second on, no. Okay, do we have a second on Cordell's? All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Or raise your hand, one or the other. So we now have elected our new slate for the 2025-2026 years. God, that's long.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We do have to ask if there's anybody in opposition. No?
I asked that first.
Oh, did you? Okay, thank you. Cordell, you have something you want to say before we close?
So I would like to invite the RNCC to the Contra Costa Mayor's Conference on December the 5th, hosted by the City of San Pablo at 6:30. And so I will email the city clerk tomorrow. The agenda should be out by tomorrow at 5 p.m. So that's one gift, and it's only $70 per person. So, and La Strada is catering the event, so might be some wine there too. So that's one. But then the other idea that I'm bringing forward to the board is to at a future meeting, if we would have a speaker to come talk to us about the Make-A-Wish Foundation. So I think this is kind of like, fitting, like since we're in the holiday spirit, I figured if we would like to have the person to come and talk to us about what the Make-A-Wish Foundation, what they do, and because I feel that this is very important. So those are my only requests.
Thank you. Before we close the meeting, is there anybody that'd like to close it on behalf of anyone that's passed or? Well, happy holidays then, and everybody stay safe. And today is November 18th. It's 8:58, and I'd like to close the RNCC meeting. Thank you.
Good job, Art. A minute and a half before 9 with all that.
There you go.
Really good.